I found it hard to balance my time between Prince Charles and Princess Diana. Diana would come every weekend with the boys on Friday afternoon and leave on Sunday, but there was someone else in that space. I learned to serve two important women, Princess Diana and another lady. Stories like this usually end with, "They lived happily ever after," but Diana was different. The media started using a new term. Diana of Wales has agreed to Prince Charles has asked for a divorce. I hope I have been helpful in some way. The Princess of Wales has died in a car accident at Buckingham Palace. Messages of sympathy have been coming from leaders around the world. Diana didn't have a happy childhood. Her parents separated when she was young, which may have left her feeling insecure. This insecurity grew over time. As she got older, is there any chance you might announce your marriage soon? Please let me know if there's a possibility. I won't share it with anyone. Prince Charles hinted that we wouldn't have to wait long for news. Just like Charles fell in love with Princess Diana right away, so did the British people. We hadn't seen someone like her, a future princess, in a long time, and Diana was truly beautiful. I'm talking about the photo Arthur Edwards took of her leaving her nursery in that see-through dress. She looked so innocent and stunning. From the moment she got engaged, everyone was interested. People around the world watched the engagement and the royal wedding in 1981, which was a major event. Now, when we think back on it and look at recent interviews, Diana was not ready for life as a royal and felt a lot of pressure from the beginning, even during her engagement and wedding planning. The intense attention from the media weighed heavily on her mind. She was unsure how to act, and once she was married, she felt very lonely because Charles was often busy with his own activities. Diana found herself in a world that felt unfamiliar. She was a modern woman living in the old-fashioned setting of Buckingham Palace, feeling somewhat out of place. The problems in her relationship with Prince Charles became clear quickly. After they got engaged, Diana felt lonely because Charles was often busy and not around. She had her own apartment in the palace while he stayed nearby, but she felt very alone. Diana felt out of place even before her wedding. She spent the nights leading up to her wedding at Clarence House, where she had one of the most unhappy nights of her life. She remembered feeling very alone, similar to the idea of a princess trapped in a tower. The palace wasn't ready for someone like her, who hadn't been trained for royal life. She married into the royal family and was set to become a future queen. As the Princess of Wales, she suddenly became famous, but wasn't fully prepared for that attention. I saw letters from her to the Queen expressing her happiness, love for being a wife and support for Charles in his future. However, things changed quickly. Within a year, she had William and then Harry. Princess Diana entered her marriage with hope, believing she could make it work despite the immense pressures of royal life. As a mother, she was modern yet deeply influenced by aristocratic traditions. While she was hands-on with her children, she also relied on nannies, a common practice among the British elite. Diana and Charles raised their sons, William and Harry, between Kensington Palace in London and their country estate Highgrove in Gloucestershire. In both homes, an entire floor was dedicated to the nursery, complete with bedrooms, sitting rooms, and dining areas, where the young princes spent most of their time under the care of nannies and household staff. However, Diana's approach to parenting set her apart from royal norms. She refused to be a distant figure in her children's lives, often breaking tradition by personally taking them to school, engaging in everyday activities, and showing them a world beyond palace walls. Her deep love and devotion to William and Harry became one of her defining legacies, shaping them into the compassionate men they are today. Yet, behind the walls of privilege, Diana struggled with the loneliness and emotional turmoil of her failing marriage, fighting to maintain her role as both a loving mother and a woman trapped in an unfulfilling royal life. Diana had a loving childhood with her parents, including chauffeurs and close protection officers. As a mother, she showed a lot of love, but she may have struggled because her own mother left when she was just 6 years old. This made her feel more like a big sister to her boys than a traditional mother. However, she was very involved in their lives and adored her children. Looking back, it's clear that Diana seemed perfect, and some say she was made to look that way. However, many people at the time thought she was too protective of her sons instead of being a normal mother, which wasn't true. Some felt she used her kids to go against Prince Charles. She faced criticism for letting her children know about her personal life, suggesting she should keep things more private. But when I spoke with Wendy Berry, the housekeeper at Highgrove, she mentioned that the boys were very well protected and didn't really understand the fights between their parents. Whenever there were arguments, someone, like a protection officer or a nanny, would take them away. It wasn't like living in a small house, where they could hear the shouting through the walls. Because of this protection, I believe William and Harry didn't suffer as much. Although we mentioned that they were unaware of it, adults are usually more aware of things. At that time, they were somewhat sheltered. The princess's popularity brought new life to the royal family, and Diana really changed the game. She loved life and was a lively and charming person. As the daughter of an earl, she married well at just 20 years old, but her life had been planned for her. Even though she was part of the royal family, she found her own identity. After getting used to being a princess, she became more independent, which people appreciated. Diana accepted that she would be one of the most photographed women in the world and grew more comfortable with the media. She discovered her ability to handle this role, which was both challenging and eye-opening for her. She uses her fame to have fun with photographers and reporters, and also to do good through charity. The pressure society puts on people to look perfect can be overwhelming. This pressure often leads to issues like eating disorders, where someone might hurt themselves instead of caring for their body. She understood that her situation was more complicated than just being vain. She knew she had an important role and that people were paying close attention to her and even imitating her actions. This fascination with her, which many called Diana mania, emerged shortly after her marriage. I think Prince Charles felt frustrated about it. In a video clip where a reporter asks him if he is in love, he responds affirmatively, but Diana looks at him as if to say he doesn't really understand love. That was a key issue from the start. At first, Charles didn't really understand love. He didn't want a partner, he wanted someone to care for him like a mother. He struggled to express his feelings to his wife. In the beginning, Diana's presence was modest, but she started to shine more and more, like a star being born. Charles often reminded her that he made her a princess when they got married. She wasn't born into royalty. This was a man destined to be king, who had been raised for that role from an early age. At first, he felt powerful, but then this woman overshadowed him, and he wasn't happy about it. Charles didn't hide his feelings well. He didn't like it when crowds cheered for Diana instead of him during their royal events. He felt surplus and confused about his role. At a dinner, he even jokingly said he wished he could cut his wife in half so he could have her all to himself. At one time, Princess Diana could greet people on both sides of the road, but deep down she knew that they were more interested in her than in Prince Charles, and he didn't like that. Like many others, Diana believed in the fairy tale of her royal life and was willing to put in the effort. However, she soon realized that she did not have much in common with Prince Charles. They were very different individuals with different interests, and that's when their problems began. It is believed that these issues started soon after they came back from their honeymoon. Early in their marriage, they spent several years sleeping in separate bedrooms. After 1986, they lived separate lives, not just in different rooms but on different floors of the palace. If Princess Diana and Prince Charles had been regular people, they likely got divorced much earlier than they actually did. Prince Charles didn't always treat Princess Diana kindly. At times he was even cruel. I recall one time when she came down wearing a lovely black and white dress by Catherine Walker and told Charles that she had it made just for him. "You like it? You look like you belong to the mafia," he said, which cut her down to her knees. Then, on one occasion she came down in a tartan dress and said, "Do you like this one, where you look like a British Caledonian stewardess?" It was always undermining just before an engagement began, so that she would lose her confidence, so it was mental cruelty in a way. I never saw any physical violence. I saw tables being upset. I saw crockery being thrown across a room, but I never saw any physical violence. The rest of the royal family in the household, they treated Diana like any other girl, and didn't pay her much attention. One day, I saw the old Queen Mother walking through the drawing room. She saw a magazine with Diana's face on the cover, and flipped it over so the front was hidden. This made me think that Diana wasn't fully accepted, and that the family didn't like that she was starting to seem more popular than even the senior royals. The situation was tense as the royal marriage was breaking down. I was there to support Diana and help keep things organized. Diana would come every weekend with her sons, arriving on Friday and leaving on Sunday. However, someone else filled the time in between, and I learned to serve both of the royal women. Wales and the other Mrs. Parker always sensed that someone else was watching. She felt this on her wedding day. If you watch the video of Princess Diana walking down the aisle with her father, you can see her glancing around. She once told me that she was looking for that person, and she was there in the crowd. C.A. Parker has been like a ghost, always present. Princess Diana's life behind palace doors was a constant battle between duty, love, and betrayal. The fragile balance between her and Prince Charles was impossible to maintain, especially with the presence of a third person in their marriage. Torn between the expectations of the royal family and her personal struggles, Diana sought answers, often reaching out to those around her to understand her husband's actions. She would call from London, questioning where Charles was, who he was with, and what his plans were. Desperate for clarity in a marriage filled with secrecy and emotional distance, the walls of Buckingham Palace held whispers, but few were willing to give her the truth she craved. Diana seemed scared and was looking for Charles during a party at Annabel Goldsmith's beautiful house in Richmond. The party took place on several floors and she couldn't find him. Eventually she figured he was downstairs in the fancy lower rooms, not a typical basement. When she went down, she found him there. It's clear there was a lot of anger, because it takes a lot to confront someone like that. She faced Camilla and told her, "I'm not stupid, I know what's happening." Camilla must have been shocked, as you usually don't expect this kind of reaction. This moment changed their relationship. After that, I think Dee lost hope of getting back together because she really believed it was unlikely to happen. Normality within her marriage could happen. I think she really held out hope that that might happen, but I think this meeting, I think probably scotched it. I think she realized then that there's little or no chance of us returning to a normal married life. And thereafter, of course, the announcement by John Major was made at the House of Parliament, and their separation was official.